Hello, I'm Anthony Day, and I want to talk to you about planning sustainable profit. It's about planning because you need objectives and you need timescales. About sustainability. Sustainability means efficiency, which is good for business, which is good for the planet, which is good for the rest of us. And it's about profits. Profits need not necessarily be cash. Profits is really delivering value to your stakeholders. And what we're aiming to do is to make all our stakeholders happy. I want to talk about planning in terms of contingency planning for the short term and scenario planning for the long term. So first of all, what's contingency planning? Contingency planning is dealing with short, sharp shocks. Now, you might say, well, none of those things really affects me. But the thing we have to remember is that every organisation is part of a supply chain. And while these things may not affect you directly, they may affect people along your supply chain. And every chain, as we know, has a weakest link. So these risks, these factors may not affect you directly, but they may affect a supplier who can't supply or a buyer who can't buy. And that will have an impact on you. Contingency planning then is about business as usual. It's about disaster recovery. It's about keeping things going. And did you know there are a number of major organisations that won't trade with you unless you've got a disaster recovery plan, because they want a secure supply chain. In the short term, you want to keep your business as usual busy. In the long term, let's look at scenario planning. And that's not crystal ball gazing. Scenario planning is about looking at the risks and say, where are they coming from? Let's look at the greater environment. What sort of factors are going to change and therefore impinge on our business? Welcome to the future. You've got to look ahead. I've chosen 2015, less than 3 years ahead, and let's see what it could look like. It could get very much better. What will 2015 look like if it's very much better? Well, here is the news. Here is the news from 2015. The headlines today. David Cameron celebrates his general election victory, which gives the Conservatives an absolute majority and marks the end of the coalition. Oil prices remain stable. Figures published today show that the UK economy has grown consistently for the last 7 quarters. The Bank of England announced today that interest rates would remain at 0.5% for the foreseeable future. Inflation has fallen for the 4th quarter in a row. The level of unemployment is now at its lowest for 15 years. And the weather? The warm, sunny weather is expected to continue for at least another month. On the other hand, 2015 could be very much worse. What's the world going to look like when it's very much worse? Here is the news. The headlines today. The markets have reacted badly to the general election result, which rejected the coalition but left no overall majority. In order to protect sterling, the Bank of England has raised interest rates from the long-term 0.5% to 5.5%, with warnings that they may well go higher. Following poor harvests in 3 consecutive years, a loaf of bread now costs in excess of £2. In the Middle East, Iran has announced that it will close the Strait of Hormuz in 7 days unless sanctions are immediately lifted. This is expected to cause serious gas shortages in the UK, and consumers are encouraged to turn off all unnecessary heating appliances. The benefits bill has risen by 17% over the last 3 months. A report issued today says that it will take another 4 months at least to rebuild the 2 miles of the East Coast Main Line washed away by last month's freak storms. We can't tell what the future is going to be like. It could be very bad, it could be very good, and we can be almost certain that it will be completely different from whatever we forecast. But if we look at those scenarios, we can see those factors that are going to impinge on our business model, and we can decide whether our business model is appropriate for that situation. So what's the action you have to take? You have to ask, what's key? What's key to your business? And what if it happens? What then? What do you do? What do you do now? Because if you wait till the risks arise in 3, 5, 10 years' time, or the opportunities pop up in the same timescale, by the time you get there, somebody else will have got there before you. You've missed the opportunity, you've fallen foul of the risk. You need to act now. And don't forget, we are talking about opportunities as well as risks. We need, therefore, to plan. We need to train. We need to review. And the future, ladies and gentlemen, is in your hands. The future is all yours. So, do you want to stay in business? Do you want to stay in profit? You need a plan. I can help you plan. I can help you recognise the risks and grab the opportunities. So get in touch. Let's talk about your future. I'm Anthony Day. It's all about planning sustainable profits.